Salut everyone! Have you heard the news? ZorinOS 18 has been downloaded 300,000 times in under a week after release. Boom! Yes, 300,000 times. So to give you an idea, CachyOS weekly download is around 30,000 times a week. And it's actually the most popular, fastest growing distro out there. So those guys in 1 week, they achieve 10 times what CachyOS is doing every week. This is insane. But is ZorinOS really delivering when it comes to content creation and gaming? Well, we're gonna find out in this video. Are you ready? Let's go! As always, we're gonna start with a little bit of context. The first thing I need to mention is the fact that ZorinOS did the marketing play of the year by releasing their new release the day Windows 10 actually died, the 14th of October 2025. And they have been pushing somehow some type of marketing communication plan to make sure that some of the big content creators out there or some of the big journalists could put their hand on this distribution just the day of release to kind of give them a really good feedback. And for the one who have been following the channel for more than a year, you know I've been reviewing this distro like I always do during a live stream by testing the game, by checking all the weaknesses, all the potential mid-term and long-term issue some of the users out there are gonna encounter. And I've been doing that for more than 3 years right now. And I can tell you guys that I'm able to pinpoint right away the type of issue you are going to encounter while using this distro or another. And I'm telling you, ZorinOS 17, which was the one I tried, was not perfect. Actually, really far from perfect. So the real question is, did they finally fix all the little issues they had in the past to become the actual new leader of the Linux market share? Because at 300,000 downloads a week, listen to me, in 6 months, everybody's gonna be running ZorinOS at this point. So before we jump to the actual review with the pros and the cons related to the distro, I just want to refresh your memory regarding ZorinOS and what it's all about. So ZorinOS has a release cycle for every 2 years or 1 year and a half. It's based on Ubuntu LTS. So this Zorin 18 is based on the 24.04 version of Ubuntu. You're gonna have a nice, polished desktop environment based on GNOME, whether you are using the core or the pro edition. They are also pushing a XFCE version, but I never tried it, whether it was on the Zorin 17 or this version, the Zorin 18. That's what they provide, right? Without diminishing their overall work, because you will see there is still some positive regarding this distro. Actually, a lot. I have to say that it's just GNOME. Actually, this version is GNOME 46, which is pretty dated, by the way, but we're also going to talk about this in the future, with a really nice theme and a lot of wrapper. All right, so if you don't know what a wrapper is a class or function whose main purpose is to just forward call to another class or function. The whole idea around that is that instead of having to set up yourself a lot of software, ZorinOS team created those nice GUI and basic application to make it work in a more I would say easy way. So instead of using 3 or 4 software to run a Windows application, because this is one of their big sales, they use a wrapper that will install in the background all the required application to make the Windows application work on Linux. So I know it sounds a little bit complicated, but yeah, what they do is they facilitate the user experience by creating those applications on top of other existing applications. Okay, so keep that in mind because we're going to talk about it in the future. And if you look at the supported app format, this is their big selling point, is the fact they can run Windows application. And the way they do that, they use a wrapper they created, and this wrapper run in the background wine and bottles. So for people who know about Linux, Bottles is an open source application that lets you manage the environment and set up a lot of like technical things to run Windows application on Linux. So you think about it this way. You have bottles, wine in it, and on top of that, you have the wrapper of ZorinOS that is going to configure bottles for you. So instead of doing it with your little hand, well, ZorinOS is doing it for you. So now you have a better understanding of the technicality of ZorinOS. Let's get into what makes ZorinOS a good distro. So what makes ZorinOS a really easy sell is the theming. The theming is out of this world. There is nothing to say about it. Even if I did try the free version because I didn't want to buy for the Pro, and I'm going to explain why I didn't want to buy the Pro. With the free version, you're going to have access to 4 different orientation of your desktop. So it's pretty like easy to use. It's based on GNOME, and they kind of like transform it to a more like Windows type of environment versus what really GNOME provide. But you can switch back to GNOME if you want to get rid of the Windows vibe, I would say. But it looks good. It's in between like what you would get on an Apple device and what you could get on a system running Windows. You're gonna have this looking glass type of approach, like transparent. And I have to say, it's looking nice, okay? I try to kind of like break it because I know that when you run into this type of like complex theming, it's relatively easy to break, and I was not able to break it. I use application like GNOME, install it through Flatpak, so trying to mix the different source of software, and I was still able to apply the theme. It was still looking really good, and this, in my opinion, is the biggest sell from this distro. Their theming is consistent and pretty clean. This is not something I really like because theming is really subjective, but I do understand why people will fall for it. It's definitively polished and consistent all across the desktop. The second point which need to be mentioned is the NVIDIA driver support. Yes, you won't have to fight to install NVIDIA driver on this distro, at least if you don't run a Blackwell card. Because yes, if you run a Blackwell card, well, guess what? You're gonna have problem. The team of ZorinOS, even if they had the really like greatness to install the NVIDIA driver by default, they decided to install the proprietary blob for ZorinOS and 18. And what it means that by default, if you boot on this driver with a Blackwell card, well, you're gonna be out of luck. You are going to get a black screen because you need to install the NVIDIA driver with the open blob to take advantage of the latest generation of the NVIDIA card out there. It's still a positive in my view because they are facilitating the installation of the driver. They are providing the latest driver to date, which I was like kind of surprised, but they do. However, they're installing the wrong version. They should be installing the open blob, aka open NVIDIA driver for this matter to be able to support the Blackwell series. And this is a recommendation from NVIDIA itself. I'm not making the rules. I don't know why they did that, but I think it's kind of a missed opportunity here, even if it's overall positive. And while we are talking about driver, because it's based on Ubuntu 24.04 LTS, you're gonna have access also to the tools from Ubuntu. In this case, the driver manager, which can come really handy if you want to switch via the GUI from one driver version to another. So this is definitively a plus. And the third point, because we are touching base with Ubuntu right now, you know that Snap could be a problem. And even if Snap is installed on the machine by default, none of the applications are actually running through Snap. So by default, you're going to have the focus on the Ubuntu package, then the Flatpak, and Snap will come later. So you still have the opportunity to choose. And I think this is a good thing to let the user choose. And this I'm a big fan of, I have to say. I would have loved like Snap to be there, but I understand like in some case scenario, like we were talking during the stream, Snap packages are superior to the Flatpak. I'm thinking about Blender. I didn't know about that. But yes, you have freedom of choice. And in my opinion, this is a plus overall. So for this, another good point to ZorinOS. But yes, this is where it stopped, guys. And I don't want to spoil it, but overall, it's more negative than positive. And I'm going to explain you why point by point. So the first point I need to mention, which has been redundant for like now 4 years with Ubuntu, and because they use Ubuntu LTS and they use the old installer of Ubuntu LTS in ZorinOS, well, guess what? ZorinOS install is gonna mess with your bootloader. If you have multiple SSD, hard drive in your PC and you are running another operating system, I will really say to you guys, be careful when you install ZorinOS. Make sure you unplug the hard drive on which you're not installing ZorinOS, or if you are an advanced Linux user, make manual partitioning to avoid the installer to mess with your bootloader. It did arrive on the live when I did it. I was kind of like losing my mind. So for an experienced user, it's really nothing. You just rebuild everything. If you have another like a Linux distro installed on another hard drive, it's fine. However, if you have Windows installed and ZorinOS start to temper the bootloader of your Windows installation, it can become a nightmare really fast. And when I say a nightmare, you might finish having to reinstall Windows because ZorinOS play with the bootloader. It's still an issue. It has not been fixed. It is what it is. But just for the viewer out there, Ubuntu actually fixed it already, right? So they changed their old installer, I believe, in the latest LTS version, and there is no messing around with the bootloader anymore. So now ZorinOS directly inherited from the old installer issue. And to me, it's a big no-go for all the people who are switching from Windows to Linux. Like it's just awful. The second negative is about the speed of the server from ZorinOS. So I'm based in North America, in Canada. I usually have a solid pairing here in the server in the US and Canada. But when it comes to downloading this specific ISO, I was in pain. The actual download speed was just horrible, less than 1 megabyte per second, and I have a 1 gigabyte symmetrical connection here. So I'm like, pretty bad. I tried different server and I finally found one was working in Europe. But I would say, when it's going to come to making update and when you're going to have to download update, their server seemed pretty weak at the time of the review of the distro. Maybe, it was a little slow time. Maybe the server were totally hammered by all this crazy download. Everybody want to move to ZorinOS, apparently. But yeah, it was bad. It was bad. I hope they're going to be able to fix that soon. But yeah. Now the third negative is related to the NVIDIA driver again. So I mentioned the little like technical aspects that has been missed regarding the version of the NVIDIA driver they have to install. That was definitively a negative point, but there is another one. Because Ubuntu LTS is based on GNOME 46, the first time the operating system notices that you are using an NVIDIA driver, is going to default on X11. Yes, it's going to default on X11. So we are in 2025, almost 2026. most of the rolling edge distro have been running Wayland with all the latest feature. And here we are with ZorinOS, which has to kind of like bring you back to X11, GNOME 46, because their NVIDIA support is not there. And just as a friendly reminder, even if you have the latest version of the driver, if your desktop environment does not take advantage of it, and I'm thinking about GNOME 46 here, and I'm not even sure it's taking advantage of the explicit sync feature of the latest NVIDIA driver on Wayland, you know, you're kind of like in a U-turn, you know, type of scenario where there is a dead end there. You know what I mean? Like, you have to make a U-turn, and this is where ZorinOS lands. You're gonna be pushed on X11, so you can still switch to Wayland, but I'm telling you, you're gonna really come back to X11 pretty quick, and I'm gonna explain you why in the next point. But long story short, X11 plus GNOME 46, end of story for this release. So what it really means, it means that no official support of VRR, because VRR was pushed in GNOME 46, but it was still in like beta for this version of GNOME. So you can still activate it via dconf for the people who actually know. But even if you know how to do that, well, you're still gonna get a beta support, right? We did activate it during the stream. It's possible, but I would say it's kind of meh. And because you are also still on X11, you won't have HDR support. You won't have a multi-refresh rate support. If you have different monitor with multiple refresh rate, you're gonna be kind of stuck in the past. And this really sucks. In my opinion, like, this is a big no-go. And we'll talk about performance after, because this is again another hit. But let me finish with the other negative first. So another great selling point from ZorinOS is the fact that you can install Windows application directly into this Linux distro. And it's possible because they have this little wrapper which is gonna launch bottles in the background and make the install kind of like flawless. Flawless, except that while I was doing it on my machine, I don't know if it was related to the server, or I don't know if it was related to the way like the wrapper handles the whole situation. I tried to install Notepad++, you know, like the little like Notepad application, like well known in the FOSS world. I was like, let's try it, right? Let's try to install that, because this is what I've done on ZorinOS 17. And man, it was so long. It was so long to install such small application. I can't imagine trying to install something a little bit more heavy, a real pain. So yeah, I don't know what's going on. I'm pretty sure that if I had installed that on bottles directly, it would have been faster. So there is something going on, something is odd. And I want to share that with you. On paper, it's nice. In reality, it's a little bit like snugglish. I don't know how to say this word. Like, it's slow, right? It's like, it's a struggle. And because we're talking about struggle, let's talk about the gaming experience. Because you noticed it, I've been talking about everything except gaming. And man, gaming has been pretty rough. So let me go straight to the point. If you are running as the Zorin team want you to run your desktop environment here and your display protocol, you're gonna run on X11, at least if you have an NVIDIA card. And what it means like you are running GNOME 46 on X11. And as we noticed earlier, GNOME in general perform a little bit less, but in this case, and compared to a distro which is more optimized in general, like CachyOS or Nobara, you're gonna get a serious hit in terms of FPS. So from my performance, it will be a hit of around like -7% for the native game. When it comes to the game running via Proton, it was almost the same-ish. It should be all right. But, you know, I'm pretty sure I could find a lot of like games where the performance is not optimal. So some of you are going to say, yes, it's just 7%, 5%, it's margin of error, it's fine. But the reality is that you are definitively putting some performance on the side and some feature on the side, just because of your choice of operating system. The second one is related to Wayland. So let's say you don't want to follow the recommendation from the Zorin team and jump into Wayland. You can. There, it's going to be violent. Okay, you're going to lose around like 14% FPS average for the native game, and you're going to lose a stunnish like minus 22% for the minimum lows while running game via Proton in general. So, it starts to add up, right? I tried Counter-Strike 2, and there on average I was losing minus 50% FPS on the bench, which is just like mind-blowing. So Wayland, GNOME 46, it's a big no-go, right? It's a big no-go. GNOME has been making like a lot of improvements for the last 3 release. They are still a little bit behind Kg, but now it's almost margin of error. They've been doing a great job, and you won't be able to take advantage of it. You're going to stay on this old version of GNOME. Yeah, it is what it is. So I'd rather like inform you before you jump the gun because you saw a nice little theme. For gaming, ZorinOS, it's not really a good choice. And now let's talk about the elephant in the room. I'm saying the elephant in the room because I already mentioned it in my previous video, and I feel like I need to mention it again and again until the viewer really get what's happening with ZorinOS, marketing, communication, and I would say like overall like commercialization. I will use this word. So what I believe is that the overall marketing approach from ZorinOS is a little bit too aggressive, in my opinion. And, it's good to have like good words, good branding. I would say like good logo. They did a good job on that. Like the overall like polished approach is nice. But man, it starts to be, in my opinion, a little bit too much. So let me explain. Make your computer more reliable, make your computer better, make your computer like stronger, faster, and you go through this stuff and you're like, whoa, more speed, less loading, knowing that they have one of the worst server I ever experienced on Linux. I think it's too much, right? I think it's too much, in my opinion. There is a lot of fluff. And I believe like this fluff doesn't have its place in the Linux world. This is just my opinion. They advertise themselves like the best for gaming, play an enormous library of gaming. It's just so nice. We have like game optimization, so you can get great performance easily. I can't agree with that, right? I just made a bunch of tests really fast, and by definition, they are not there, right? They are simply not there. So does it make the overall experience on ZorinOS bad? No, it's not bad. But all I'm saying is like relatively to other distro, which actually have real game optimization and the latest packages and everything to give you the best performance, you are missing out. That's my point, right? So this is the first approach, right? I think they are a little bit too much on this end. Now, the second problem I have is regarding the professional version of ZorinOS. I think their marketing is, in my opinion, misleading. And I'm going to explain why. Here, you have all the theming that is unlocked through buying the pro version, which is fine. I do believe that every type of work deserves reward, and I don't know anybody on this earth who is working for free, right? If you are working for free, every type of work deserves income. Here, I understand that they did a lot of work for the theming. I mentioned it in the beginning of the video. There is a real value added there. I get it. And I'm not talking about the price, because here the price is like $80. The value of something is really subjective, and I don't want to enter this. What kind of like trigger me is the way they sell the support for their work. If they were just saying, hey, you know what? We have a lot of team working on the project. We need you to help, to continue to work on this because we need it, right? We need money to live on a daily basis and for all the work we put. Please support us. I get it, right? All the content creators out there, they are kind of in the same boat. But the way they sell it is this way. Bundled with alternative to over 5,000 of professional software. And here they show you that for $80, well, you save 5,000. No. It's just, to me, it's super misleading. And this is not possible. This is just bad marketing, in my opinion, right? And you can see here why Zorin Pro is very literally the best Linux operating system I ever used. With ZorinOS Pro, did I save money? You bet I did. I'm like, come on. Like, this is almost cringe there. So just ask for money. If people, they want to pay for it because they believe in the project, because they believe in, your vision, I'm all for it. But this, come on, guys. Like, who wrote that? ZorinOS Pro saved me money. You just spent $80 for a wrapper and a theme, which I respect. You could spend like 500. I will not judge you for that, right? This is part of the game, but you didn't save 5,000. You literally spent $80. You didn't save 5,000. You wanted the Office Suite, the equivalent? Well, it's free. It's called LibreOffice. You wanted the image editor? Well, you have GIMP, you have Krita, and I can continue for the whole list there, right? So here, I'm a little bit, upset, right? Because it kind of gives a pretty, bad vibe regarding the overall, vision of the open source community and everything which is related to it. It's just my 2 cents, okay? So, yes, it is what it is, right? But the cherish on the cake, I think this is how we say it, right? The tip top of the mountain is not reached yet. Because this is what also trigger me a lot, and which is, in my opinion, a bad practice, end of story. So let me explain. Let's say I want to support them, okay? And I went through all this kind of interesting marketing. Why not? And I want to send them $80. So I buy it. But what really do I get? So what do I get really for the $80? Well, I get the 8 premium desktop layout. Okay, I agree. This is discutable. The professional grade creative suite for apps. Why not? Advanced productivity tool. Okay. Additional artwork. So there is no discussion. You get your abstract wallpaper. Why not? You get apparently a Zorin installation support service. This I need to see what it is really. If it's via email, if it's a phone call and phone line, this is bringing value for sure. But email is kind of And the fact that you contribute to the development of ZorinOS, I respect that because at the end, this is what it's really all about, right? But there is more, because if you look at the FAQ here, what you're going to notice is that this is not a subscription. It's a one-time purchase. You won't need to pay again to keep using your copy of ZorinOS 18 Pro. You won't be too... that's pretty good, right? Well, not really. This purchase will give you access to the ZorinOS 18 Pro as well as feature update within the 18 release series, such as the upcoming point release. ZorinOS 19 Pro will need to be purchased separately when it will be released in the future. However, you will be able to upgrade to a future major version like this at a discount. And here, my friend, we have a problem. We have a problem because you're going to be kind of stuck. So let me explain. Today, we are in October 2025. you decided to buy your $80 key for ZorinOS Pro 18. And this is fine, right? You have the Pro version, you are enjoying the theme, you help, you contribute for this project. And this, I'm all for it. However, in 2 years from now, 1 year and a half from now, Zorin 19 is going to happen. And what's going to happen already is that if you want to upgrade to Zorin 19 Pro, you're going to have to pay around like 80% of the cost of the release. So if the price stays the same, and from the different feedback I had from people who already bought ZorinOS Pro, you're going to get a 20% discount for the next iteration. But let's say you don't want to pay it again. Let's say you don't want to pay for Zorin Pro 19. What really happened to you? Because this is a serious question. In Linux, it's really important to understand where you are going, because you don't want to have to reinstall your operating system every 2 years. The main advantage of Linux is you install it once, and until your hardware die or whatever, you should be able to run it. Everything is upgradable. But in this specific case scenario, you're gonna get stuck. You're gonna get stuck because you're gonna have to pay to stay on the ZorinOS Pro I would say release update. So here you're going to move from the 18 Pro to the 19 Pro. But if you don't want to do that, let's say you just want to jump to ZorinOS 19, the core version. There is not right now a tool that lets you do that for free. There is none. And when we were making our little inquiry through the forum of ZorinOS, we noticed that some users, they were like, hey, what happened, right? How can I switch to core? Because I support you once, which is fair, but now I want to go and just enjoy the 4 theme and continue like that. Well, you can't. And you have to install fresh, which means you need to have backup. You need to be able to erase your actual installation, start fresh, redo everything from scratch, and then bring your backup on your PC. And this, in my opinion, is a big no-go, especially for the one who contributed to the project, right? Because if you are in this position, you kind of feel stuck in this environment. I would say it as I think, I believe it's a bad practice. It's a bad practice because even with Windows 10, you paid $150 or $100 to get your license of Windows 10. Well, you still have a path to upgrade within Windows 10 and also towards the next version, right? And the path to upgrade is not 2 years. It was freaking 10 years. So, what's happening here? Literally, what is happening? Or at least what ZorinOS should do is communicate about this, right? And make sure that people, when they start to get into the cycle of the Pro version, they know that if they want to upgrade to the 19 in the future or the next one in the future, well, they have a free path to upgrade. It just, to me, it is just mind-blowing. It is just mind-blowing, and that's why I also wanted to make this video, because I do believe that the user out there, they need to understand what's going on. This is not a normal practice. This is not something you will encounter with other distro. It doesn't work like that. So, yeah. This is, I believe, how I'm gonna end this video. I don't need to talk about it for 2 hours. I think some users are gonna love this system, some others are gonna hate it. I'm just trying to find solution here and try to kind of show to all the viewers out there which might be interested in this really attractive theme, really attractive marketing, I would say slogan, really attractive, tech regarding what this distribution is all about. I have to say, it's a really hard pill to swallow for me, right? If you are into gaming, there is better distribution out there, right? If you are into theming, You can find really incredible theming out there. And if you want to support people who are actually doing theming, people who are actually building the desktop environment themselves, you could definitively like help them and send them money, right? There is no like subscription or like upgrade path, right? You want to give them $80, $20, $5, $2,000, whatever you feel like you can do it. But you won't be like locked into any type of environment, right? When it comes to content creation, I think this one is kind of in a weird position because yes, the NVIDIA driver are here. You could run application like DaVinci Resolve without any issue. But when it comes to capturing the screen, for example, if you are gaming, well, on X11, it's also a little bit more complicated. I would really advise moving to Wayland when it comes to content creation. It's overall easier. X11 has still some nice feature regarding like the display protocol overall. There is features which have not been implemented to Wayland, but those features, they are outside of the scope of content creation and gaming. I think for content creation and gaming, there is a big value added in Wayland. Whether you like it or not, HDR is big. Multi-monitor with different refresh rate is pretty huge nowadays. Like most of the users, they have more than one monitor. So you're going to be in a weird position with X11. So yes, this was Zorin 18 review for you. Yeah. Did they fix it? Because this was a real question. I don't believe they did. I think it's getting better for sure compared to my last review, but it's really far from whatever distro are providing nowadays. Guys, thank you very much for watching. If you want to help the algorithm, don't forget to put a thumbs up to this video. Put a comment below. Maybe you had a totally different experience than me on ZorinOS. He has been running like crazy for you. Please let me know, because never know, depending on the hardware. I doubt it, but again, let me know in the comment below. Also, I want to thank all the members of La Crème de la Crème Club, whether you are supporting the channel financially through Patreon, PayPal, YouTube membership, Twitch, and everything else. You guys are the best. Thank you very much for the support. And as always, see you in the next one. Bisous, bisous.